I'm going to be changing the seal on this pump. As you can see, it's leaking. This is an Armstrong pump setup here, and I got the seal kit for it. So I'm going to drain the sump. This is to an AAON unit that uses water for the condensing section, like a little cooling tower basically. So I'm gonna open up the valve, drain the sump, and kill the makeup water, and then once that's done, all you gotta do is just remove these bolts, go around, pull out the pump assembly with the impeller, take these out, and it will just pop out. On this unit, they don't give you a lot of room right here. I have these same units on a different setup of buildings, and they give you a lot more room to pull the pump out. On here, it's pretty tight, so I gotta kind of jam it through here, and then when I put it back, I gotta put it at an angle, and then I gotta kick it to get it to go back into the manifold. So let me break all these apart, get it out, and then I'll show you me tearing down the seals and putting a new one on. Alright, give me a sec. Alright, so I got the pump separated from the manifold. What I noticed is when I spin it, I don't know if you can hear that clicking noise. So something in there is obviously damaged, needs to be replaced. So on this pump, on the front, there's just a bolt right here. There's no seal on this one, like some other pumps have. So I just need to take this bolt out, and then sometimes the impellers are stuck, and then you gotta use something to wedge in there and break it loose, and then it'll come off the shaft. So let me break that off. Now that just slid right off. And on this one, there's no gasket. It's just your spring with this ring that just sits up against the back of the impeller like that. That's what's basically just creating a seal. Like I said, some other pumps, it's got gaskets in there. It'll sit here. On this one it doesn't. So cut the spring off, put the impeller to the side, put the spring over here, and then let me lift this up. I don't see anything visually damaged, but of course there's crap in here. So next we just need to take your other seal off right here that has your carbon piece. Sometimes they're easy to take off, sometimes you got to use something to pry them up. This one's pretty loose, so it should just come right off. There's our carbon piece seal right there. It's all gunky right here. Spoke flyweight gave it away. Set that to the side. And then there is the ceramic piece, so we have to take this section off. There's just 4 bolts along the edges. Take those off, and this will slide right off the shaft here from the motor. And that's how we're gonna get to that other seal in there to replace that seal. And then just be careful, obviously, with your key here. So I'm gonna get this off, and I'm gonna clean it up, and then I'll show before I put the new seal in how I do that, and then I'll clean up the impeller a little bit. This pump isn't super bad like some are, but obviously the seal's broken and it's leaking water, as you can see. So I need to get this going and get it back up. All right, give me a sec. All right, I got the inside of this where the seal sits, nice and clean. This is where your ceramic seal is gonna sit in here. So I got this nice and cleaned up. Cleaned up the front a little bit where the water was sitting. Got the shaft right here all nice and clean as well. Got my flinger sitting back here. Cleaned up the impeller a little bit. It wasn't too bad. So now I'm gonna go and put the seal on. I'm gonna show you how I do that. Before I do that, I'm gonna explain something real quick. So I have 24 AAON units that are in this configuration as far as water cooled, air cooled condenser section, that obviously we need a spray pump for the sprays. And I'm going to be getting another 12 more, so that's 36 extra units. But so far I've had to replace about 7 or 8 of these pumps. Well, not replace, but I've had to take the pumps in to get the seals replaced. I've had it so bad to where it's locked up and the bearing's got to be changed. So at the time I couldn't find or get the seal until the parts house that I was taking the pump to get it replaced, they told me that they can bring the seals in for me if I need to. So I said, well, yeah, bring me the seals, because I can do it myself up here instead of getting charged like $1,000 to replace the seal. So at the time I was trying to just get my own seal, my hands on the OEM seal, and I did. And this seal right here is the OEM one. This thing is $200. And this is the OEM seal. It's basically, it's what I took out. And I've noticed these are the seals that are going out on all the pumps I've had to take apart and that are leaking. And it's always the OEM seal for some reason. I think it's because, I think it has something to do with the water, but that's just my theory. So, but $200 for the seal. Now, the parts house that I take, they do pump repairs and motor repairs, all that good stuff. They give me their seals. It's just a part number, and it's, I don't even know what the seal brand is. But these seals are only 80 bucks. And it's a little different than the OEM one. Just gotta be careful you don't damage the seals in here. Just a little different than the OEM ones. The spring on here is smaller, and then your rotating seal with the carbon piece is a little different. So yeah, but it's just crazy that an OEM seal that's been going bad on these is like 200 bucks, and then the aftermarket seals that I've been getting from the parts house that do these repair jobs, these seals been holding up actually really good. So I guess it's not always good to get OEM in some circumstance, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what's going on from when they build these at factory. I have no idea. Like I said, I think it's something with the water treatment, but that's a whole nother issue. So here's our spring. Let's put that to the side. Here's our carbon seal. I'll put that to the side as well. Don't want to damage that. And then here is our ceramic steel. They say not to touch the ceramic piece with your bare fingers. So usually, obviously I got gloves on. Another thing, when I'm cleaning this all up with, you know, obviously wire brush and stuff, you know, always wear gloves and always have your eye protection on, because you never know, something's gonna fly up, hit you in the face or in the eye, and then, you know, that's it, or you're gonna cut your finger or whatnot. I might have those gloves on before I swap to these, because I gotta handle the seal. I can't really feel it with that. Plus those are a little bit dirty. So now when I put these seals on, I just use soap. I'm just using Big Blue soap to help sit it in there, and then I'll put a little bit on the rubber on the carbon one seal. So when I slide it over this shaft, it's easy to get it on. Sometimes it's a little rough. And that's it. Just like I said, a little bit of soap. So I'm gonna put some soap in here, and I'll put a little bit on here, and then I'll show you how I just use a rag and I just press it down nice and firm to get straight in there. So just put a little soap. Nothing crazy. Put some soap in here. They say if you read the seals, the paper it comes in, it says they use, you know, something that's usually used with water-based substance. And I've just talked to people who've done, you know, a lot more seal repairs than I do, and they've said the same thing. Just use soap. That's all you need. All right. So we're just gonna put the center of that in there. And then obviously get a clean rag. And then what I do is I just kind of firmly press it in, equal both sides. Well, just like that. Now it's sitting in there nice and good. So now I'm gonna put this section back onto the motor, mount the screws, and it's sitting. And then I gotta put the carbon piece back on. And then I'll show you how I seat that and back seat the seal to the ceramic piece right here. So give me a minute while I bolt this back up, and then I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so I got this piece back onto the motor. Our ceramic steel seal is in there. So now let's go ahead and put the carbon rotating seal on and back seat it to the ceramic. So just get a little bit of soap. Just get some soap, and then what I do is I just kind of pin it over a little bit right here on the shaft part, kind of help get the seal on there. Get some soap. Okay. Get the seal. Careful when you're putting this seal on. Sometimes the carbon piece wants to come out of here, out of this section of the seal, if you're like doing it from the top. So I just kind of do it from the side. It's easier to do that, but you got to make sure that, I don't know if you can see these grooves, that the seal is sitting in those grooves when you apply the seal to backseat it onto the other seal. So just be careful with that. Put a little bit of soap on here. Get some soap. Okay. So, like I said, come from an angle, and go ahead and just put that right over and push it. There we go. So now it's on the shaft, and I'm just going to push it as far back as I can until I feel it touch or stop. Okay. There we go. And then now what I do is I just want to kind of backseat it. So I'll just get something with an edge on it, and then I'll just, right where the rubber seal and the lip right here on the rotating seal meets, I just kind of give it a little, just a little tap. That's it, just to help backseat that seal onto the ceramic. And then just get the rag and just wipe off the soap, excess soap. Okay, now we're ready for the impeller. And also, yeah, don't forget your spring. Some pumps, springs only go on one way. This one, it doesn't really matter. It sits either way, flush. So let's go ahead and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip this up, that way I can slide it down so I can see the key better. Nope. So we're going to put our seal or spring on. Go ahead and just line up our key here. Goes into the key slot here on the impeller. And what I do is I just push it all the way down. Once I get it all the way down, then I'll get the bolt and I start doing it by hand at that point. So I can feel it, there you go. So it's nice and firm all the way down. This seal doesn't use a gasket like some do. I mean, bolt and washer. Some have a gasket. You gotta make sure Obviously with your seal kit, you get that gasket replaced because it's there for a reason. Obviously, it's going to cause leaks. So. And then what I do is I get my drill. This doesn't need to be super tight. Or, you know, the rest of your bolts, they don't need to be super tight. Some people like to act like, you know, they're the Hulk and they're gonna freaking make the torque specs on the freaking bolts so damn tight that you won't ever take it off. Alright, that's it. Now, I'm gonna get it back into the manifold and fill it up with water. Alright, so we got our pump back in place, filling up our sump here. I'll show you. Water everywhere. Yeah. So much water. See the water line? Okay. You don't want a bunch of water in there. We're back in place. Seal's not leaking, of course. Now when I put these back on, I go in a star pattern, and I brought an extra gasket, but this gasket was actually still in good shape. And what I do is I just put a little bit of some of this pipe dope, but this is silicone based from Refrigeration Technologies. I just put a little bit around the gasket to help it, and that's it. Got it all buttoned up. So it's not leaking now. So I'll just kind of go over, since I've done so many of these, I just already know what tools I need to bring up to the roof. But here in the back, it's a tight spot. And so it gets you those, and there's one on the bottom. It's a 3/4, it's a stubby, and a speed wrench. Gets those tight spots easy, and I gotta worry about getting jammed up. So I, bring this guy, a couple regular wrenches. This is my offset wrench that basically I use to break as a breaker, break the bolts. And then when I torque them, this is what I'm using. The 9/16 to break the bolts off the impeller. Base of demolition screwdriver as a pry bar. Have to use this big channel locks to break that valve. Sometimes it's tough closing and opening it. Then I also use the ends as a pry. If I can't get this off from the manifold, I'll just wedge it in there and break it open and break it loose, and I can kick the motor out. Random chuck. I use as for the impact, so I can add bits for the sander. And yeah, just here's a little trick that I do when I get this motor back into here, because sometimes it doesn't always want to slide back into the manifold. So what I do is I just line it up as good as I can and get it sewn in, the lip in. And I'll take 2 bolts and I'll take the washers off. I'll take one on one end and one on the other, and I'll just start torquing them little bit by little bit, and I'll start pulling it in. And once I get far enough in, then I'll pick the rest of the bolts in by hand and then go from there. Because not always these are gonna, this section's gonna slide right in. And you would hope, right, but it doesn't. So that's how I usually do it. That's a little damage right here because I had to kick it in. Just like I said, there's no room to kind of wedge it in there. So I got to break these loose to allow it to play, and I can just swing it in. I got another spray pump I got to do on an EVAPCO tower. The seal's not leaking really. It's the motors, the bearings are going out in it, and I might as well just. It's 10 years old, so it's gonna change it out and then fit the seals in. So I'll record doing that. I don't know, maybe next week. That way you can see how that's done too. But yeah, that's it for this Armstrong seal kit. See you on the next one.